everyone. Welcome to the Hoops Rehab Show on a Thursday night. Another overtime game, Eric. Well, this one didn't end in a tie. How you doing, Eric?
Good. I was gonna say we're almost our second night in a row of tie NFL action. So good game, pretty remarkable, kind of what the Niners did. But yeah, things are good. How's everything with you?
Everything's good, man. We got a jam-packed show. We're going to get into Thursday Night Football, get into some of the San Fran injuries that are going crazy around the league. We're going to get into the Lakers because basketball is back, and the Lakers have a preseason game tomorrow. But as always, everybody, I'm the Game Injury Doc, a.k.a. Dr. Evan Jeffrey. On our right is Eric B. Mack. We are the host of the Hoops Rehab Show. You can find us at our Hoops Rehab Show on YouTube. Please hit that subscribe if you're watching live right now. We drop videos, shorts. We are always putting on different type of content for everybody on the YouTube page, as well as we have an Instagram page, the Hoops Rehab Show. Go ahead and follow that. After the live show, we'll be uploading the pod. So if you're on your commute tomorrow, please download the pod, subscribe to the podcast. It's the Hoops Rehab Show, wherever you get your pod. All right, Eric. You ready to get this cracking?
Yes, let's do it.
All right. So, big game tonight with San Francisco and the Rams. They're both 3-1 heading into the game. So, big matchup here. What did you think of?
I think we kind of, it froze up there for a second, but it was a very unexpected outcome in my opinion. Not that you really could ever count the Niners out. I feel like they're one of those teams. It's always just next man up. But I mean, was just getting ridiculous, right? I mean, they so many of their offensive players out. Obviously we know Nick Bosa's out for the year. So I think the Rams was a case of maybe a little overconfident, playing down to their competition, it being a Thursday game, it being Levi Stadium South. I mean, it was just a sea of red like it is every time the Niners play the Rams. Might be one of those games that Rams might be at the end of the season kicking themselves for, because with a depleted Niners team and you have them at home, that's just a game that the Rams really need to win. And so we'll see. They'll get a crack at him again later in the year. But just kind of preliminary, thoughts is just like it was a pretty surprising outcome, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, with all the injuries coming into the game for the Niners, not having the quarterback Brock Purdy, not having two of their starting wide receivers, obviously not having Kittle, it made you think, are they going to even have a chance in this game? But Mac Jones was the truth tonight. He played tough. He got injured throughout the game, and he ended up coming on top. And to me, this was more about the Rams losing it than the Niners winning it.
Yeah. Rams, I mean, if you look back to the Colts game, it was also a little bit sloppy. The Rams ended up pulling that game out, which, hey, I mean, we've talked about it. Any given Sunday, you just got to get a dub any way you can get it. And I'm sure if Niners would have pulled today's game out, they would have said the same thing. But I think it's, if you're looking at from a, Rams like standpoint, is a little bit of a hangover maybe from the Philly game. 2 weeks later, technically, where we know that they, let's be honest, for the last like 2.5 games or so, they really have not played that great. And so I'm sure that's something Coach McVay will really kind of harp on with his guys. They get that little mini bye, technically, I guess, right? Since you played Thursday, you don't play for a week and a half. And I mean, just mental mistakes, right? I obviously Kyron Williams, like regardless of the situation, regardless of how bad the Rams played, I mean, you just gotta hold on to that ball. down 3, couple minutes to go, have it at about the 3 or 4 yard line. I mean, you just, I mean, who knows if they score there, obviously Niners still had a shot to come back with a couple minutes left. But I mean, he's had ball control and fumble problems pretty much his whole career. He's done a lot of good things. He's an outstanding back, but that's the kind of play that can really bring down that confidence in kind of like having a running back like that, because you can't be fumbling the ball there. That's just really bad. And it potentially lost him the game.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's had trouble with fumbles since last year, right? He had 5 fumbles last year, fumbled last week against the Colts, fumbled this week. And at this point, obviously what he does on the field as a receiver, as a running back is high level, but you can't have costly fumbles like he had tonight, because that pretty much could have won them the game. And that kind of sealed their fate to go to overtime. So you got to get, I mean, obviously you can have a talk with him after the game, and of course he feels bad, but I think at some point, if he keeps fumbling, then it becomes a serious problem for the Rams moving.
Yeah, Alfred Collins, I believe, was the defender of the Niners. I mean, he made a hell of a play. I mean, he punched that ball out, kind of came out of nowhere. So, don't want to take anything away from the play that he made. And that's just what the Niners do, especially defensively. They just make things happen. I know we'll probably get into that 4th and 1 in a bit here, but obviously a big stop there in overtime. And so the Niners, they just did enough to win regardless of who was out there. And the Rams did enough to lose, really. They just seem to be kind of a not themselves, and so I think they might be in Baltimore next, so that'll be tough. Obviously, depending on their health as well. So, early division games when you can kind of go up 4-1, and their Niners are obviously now 4-1, and Rams 3-2. They have the tiebreaker too for now, and so. Just big early season game overall for the 49ers. Yeah.
What were your kind of initial thoughts when they decided to go for it on 4th and 1 in overtime instead of kicking the field goal?
It's so hindsight's obviously 2020, and it's just the new NFL, and so teams are really confident when it's a 4th and 1, 4th and 2, 4th and inches that they're going to get it. I had a weird feeling just the way it was kind of they attempted to go for it and looked like they were trying to draw them off, and I was like, okay, maybe they're just going to kick the field goal and just kind of see what happens next. But it just from the get-go, I don't know what it was. I didn't have confidence that they would make that play, and so one theory is like, hey, kick the field goal, pretty close range, and then tie it. There's 3 and change left, right? So you got to kind of buckle up and probably hope for a 3 and out or so, maybe 1 first down, and then get the ball with a minute left. But obviously Rams probably thought that if they kick that field goal, there's a possibility that's going to be their last chance, and they were playing for the win. And sometimes you gotta go for it. But yeah, it's definitely something that obviously the Rams are going to kind of have to answer to as the week progresses. What were your thoughts on it? Did you like that they went for it, or was it a good play call? I mean, what were you thinking before the play?
Yeah, for me, it was more the amount of time that was still on the clock, right? So they had over 3 minutes on the clock with 2 timeouts, and at that point, you get at least a tie and probably could get the ball back. So that's why I was like, I would probably kick the field goal, because I don't know. A tie is still better than a loss, right? So they could at least kick the field goal, see what the Niners could have done, maybe got the ball back and then kicked another field goal. But I understand that the confidence in the field goal kicker probably wasn't at the level as it should have been, and that's probably what came into the consideration for it.
Yeah, I 4th-and-1. It's not, they don't have the ability to run it kind of like a la Philadelphia Eagles with a tush push. They don't really have like a bruiser type back in that situation. So if you got maybe like a Derrick Henry, you just kind of give it to him and you just pound it. And so it's tough because it was 4th-and-1. I think if it was anything like 4th-and-4 or something like that, that's probably kicked a field goal. Or you know what? Better yet, they probably put the ball in Matt Stafford's hands. And I think that's probably was the way to go there as well. That's kind of what I was thinking. I know it's not the traditional way to go 4th-and-1, but put the ball in the guy's hands that had 300 and how many yards did he have? 389 yards, which is a really a high mark these days. And so if you're going to go for it, put it in his hands and live with the result. The play call was just a little kind of dated and just obviously had no chance. And so, but kudos again. Niners had to be the ones to make a play. They did, and they're leaving SoFi with a W.
And we talked about earlier in the beginning of the season, right? The Niners' schedule is the easiest in NFL, right?
Yeah.
And they are 4-1 despite having their starting quarterback be out most of the essentially just played last week in the first game, and then he's been out the last 3, right? So what they're doing is remarkable, and I don't know what's going on in San Fran, but man, do they have injuries non-stop. It's like every year it's the same thing, especially the quarterback position. Injuries, there's some bad luck to it, right? But is there anything else going on there? I have no idea. But we do know that Brock Purdy re-aggravated his turf toe last week, and he is now going to be week to week, according to Kyle Shanahan. And he also says he doesn't know how it's going to heal. That is kind of telling of probably the severity of the turf toe. Means that more than likely it was probably not enough, but they just kind of lowballed it. I mean, he did sit out 2 games, but they probably just downplayed it a lot. And then at this point, when he tried to play, got some soreness, and then now has more pain, right? So it's going to probably be a couple weeks before we see Brock Purdy again, if I had to kind of take an educated guess on that.
Yeah, a turf toe, just some guys that have had it in the past, like I presume maybe it's something that might give him trouble all year, right? I mean, there's not, even if he's out a week or 2, it's just one of those things that I could imagine that gets re-aggravated potentially. And so they're going to have to either roll with kind of a banged up Mac Jones, or Purdy, obviously. I would imagine he's going to come back, but it's going to be tough because I'm sure it's something that's going to just bother him. And so they'll start getting some of the guys back, along the offensive side. Even Pearsall was out today, right? I didn't even think about that.
Yep. Pearsall and Juwan Jennings, right? So they didn't have their starting receivers, starting tight end, and starting quarterback. And they won a division game against the 3-1 Rams team.
Yeah, man. I imagine Rams are probably favored by a decent chunk knowing all that, but
I think they went into the game 8.5-point favorites, I believe. So it went pretty high. But hey, one thing we do know is Kyle Shanahan can coach his off, especially when he's given like injuries, he's given not having his quarterback. He has turned backup quarterbacks into great quarterbacks, right? He's had a tendency to kind of get most out of his quarterback. And right now, Mac Jones is playing like Mac Jones' rookie year in New England, right? He's playing super well. He's doing everything in anything needed for this team right now. And he got the win. And he almost looked like that last hit that he took, he came to the sideline, looked like he's about to spit out blood. So that shows you how tough the guy is. And to be playing through the PCL sprain that he's already injured with is kudos to him, man.
Yeah, he's pesky out there. He's obviously his time in New England ended, and I think he was in Jacksonville last year, if I'm not mistaken. And so yeah, it's just another one of those like veteran now or semi-veteran quarterbacks that are a little bit of a journeyman and just kind of showing out. And so it goes to show if you're in the right system, right coach, kind of right situation, then you can really, really turn things around. And he's done that so far. So yeah, it's going to be some well-deserved rest for both ball clubs. And I think Niners are playing at Tampa, so that's not an easy one coming up. And I think, like I said, I think Rams are playing Baltimore, I believe. I know I've said it a few times. Yeah, at Baltimore. So another tough one, regardless of kind of what's going on over there. So we'll see. It was a fun game to start. If you could believe it, already week 5 in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, this division is tough, right? You got the Rams, you got the Niners, you got Seattle, who's 3-1, and you got Arizona, that's 2-2. So,
yeah,
the last question I kind of had before I move on to the Lakers is this the best division in football right now?
Yeah, let me look at it here. Just kind of do a quick glance. I mean, yeah, from top to bottom, I don't know if Arizona will win the division, but you feel like any of those other 3 can probably win it, and Arizona will probably cause fits to some of the teams. I originally liked the AFC West, but you kind of got the Raiders there, kind of weighing it down, and so yeah, it looks like it is the case. And it's interesting because it's always, or I think actually coming into it, I was thinking the AFC North, where you got the Steelers, Bengals, Ravens, and then of course the Browns. But it's interesting how there's really the best division in football is hardly the same division year after year. It's always like kind of flip flops. But yeah, week 5, it looks like that's going to be one of the more interesting battles. And don't be surprised if 2 or 3 teams from that division end up making the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. I think the NFC North is up there, one of the best divisions, because they just have the Lions, you got the Packers, you got Minnesota and Chicago, who are both 2-2 right now, and Chicago kind of playing like they can keep going. So that'll be an interesting division as well. But right now, I feel like the NFC West is light years ahead of a lot of divisions here. So
yeah, it's up there. It's up there for sure, and so. Just means some pretty interesting battles along that division going forward.
For sure. All right, so we're going to be switching topics from football to hoops, talk to basketball, and we got the Lakers having a preseason game tomorrow, right? So Lakers had media day on Monday. LeBron showed up, Eric, his 23rd season. There wasn't too much drama, but the big question was going into Lakers media day. LeBron really hasn't talked about any of the situation that Rich Paul said, or where he wanted to be, and what he's doing this year, what he wants to do next year, and so it's kind of interesting. Did you get anything out of media day from LeBron?
No, I mean he did his kind of tour. They go around all the different like radio stations in LA and things like that, and TV stations. And so I mean, at least from what I saw, like there wasn't a lot of like hard hitting, questions. And I know sometimes it's kind of hard to ask those stars those things. I think it's like at the end of the day, he's like, "Hey, I'm here, ready to suit up. Year 23. Obviously, training camp has started, and kind of go from there. Obviously, his which we're going to kind of talk about a little bit later, but we know he's got a hit of a little bit of a ramp up coming up here. And so I think in most years that wouldn't even really be a big story, but the fact everything that went on all summer, it's kind of turning into like, like that's interesting. Like the year that apparently Lakers didn't want to extend him was the year that he's kind of has to get a ramp up, but I don't blame him. As you said, year 23. Like
I kind of felt the same thing about that. It was interesting because the Lakers did not guarantee him another year, or wasn't willing to do that. Yeah. He came into camp and said, "Yeah, we need to." Basically, Rich Paul said, Lakers need to be overly cautious with LeBron and allow him to get into his 23rd season, which to me is totally understandable. There's no reason why he should be pushed to play in preseason games, go hard in training. I mean, guy's freaking like 80 years old in his 23rd season, right? So that totally makes sense. However, I kind of saw that as, look, you guys are ready to move on. We are not necessarily ready to move on yet, and we at least haven't said that. So we want to make sure you preserve this well-oiled machine in LeBron James. That was kind of my take from it. Kind of similar to what you were saying.
Yeah. In years past, like Lakers, I mean, we don't know when it's going to be the end, but in years past, Lakers were thinking the current year plus probably a year or two ahead. So they kind of had their own thoughts. But now Lakers are probably like, this most likely is our last season with him. Like, let's just, I'm not saying they're thinking this, but like we can like literally run them to the ground technically, right? Like, and so I could see LeBron's camp thinking that and saying Lakers really have no reason to not do that other than they probably should, because if they want to be a contender, they need LeBron to be in tip-top shape in game 70 and the playoffs versus the first few weeks of the year of the season. So I can see it, but just because everything that's happened this summer, it's definitely opening a lot of eyes for folks.
Yeah, and I also felt like there was some self-reflection from LeBron about almost being like, this is the end. Like, he knows the end is near, right? Some of these questions that they asked, like, are you going to stay for Bryce? He's like, I'm not even thinking about that, obviously. Bryce has his timeline. I have my timeline. And then just kind of, are you going to be here for another year? Those type of things. And to be honest, I don't think he really knows yet. I don't think he knows how his body's really going to hold up in his 23rd year. I do feel like we have to remember that he is coming off of the last game we saw. He had a MCL sprain. So this summer he had to spend rehabbing that first and then kind of getting back into the flow of getting back to basketball shape. So I do think there's some things that we're seeing, him, not that Father Time's already here, but we know it's going to be a little bit of slowdown this year. I don't think we're going to see the exact same LeBron that we've seen every single year. Not to say he's not going to average 20, which he probably will, but I just think there'll be a little bit different type of a version of LeBron because we have to be realistic of where he is in his career.
Yeah, I mean, he's defied the odds, but when you're in year 23, like there's always a chance you're going to hit like a semi-wall. And so when you're at this age and you played this long, it can come quicker than expected. It doesn't always gradually happen. But in his case, it kind of has been that way. But yeah, I mean, good point. I see it from like a numbers perspective, probably still putting up decent numbers, but I can see him slowing down a little bit just because it's, I mean, human nature. And of course he's gonna. I think it being Luka's team is another reason. And I also think that the last couple of years, they won't admit it, but he's kind of run out of gas, along with some of the other Lakers have ran out of gas last playoffs, which we'll get into in a second with JJ Redick. But yeah, that's what, I put a pause on really thinking like they're going to be kind of up there. I think they got the talent, but it's just that like LeBron kind of X factor. Like what are we kind of going to get from LeBron for a full year 23?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of unexpected things with LeBron this year that we'll kind of find out. But this is probably the first year I've gone into a season and been like, if LeBron wasn't there for a game, I think we would be okay in that game. And I don't think we would be completely like, oh, that's going to be a loss, chalk it up, like it's that type of thing. I feel like having Luka already cements that, but then having players like Austin Reeves, Ayton, Smart, Rui, just is kind of having a team that's got more firepower, got more offensive talent, has defensive talent. I think that helps a lot and bodes well for giving LeBron some rest throughout the season, and then also just less minutes, and so he doesn't wear down earlier in the season.
Yeah, and I think Luka's like, before getting Kyrie, he's had a lot of seasons where it's like him and then a bunch of just kind of solid role players or like the others. And so I think if you don't have LeBron, I think it's kind of like that. And so he's used to kind of playing in that the role. And so, yeah, most definitely LeBron's not going to have to play 82, would not want him to play 82. He won't play 82. But Lakers could feel better if he's playing, let's say 65 to 70 games. I think those 17 to 20 games he's out, I think Lakers, of course, hoping everybody else is healthy, have legitimate chances to win a lot of those games.
Yeah, much different approach than it's been in the past. Like, no disrespect to Anthony Davis, but if LeBron is out, we just had a totally different team when it came to having just AD, because then we just have a point guard, essentially. We never really had a guard that can bring it up and kind of get his own bucket. And now we have that in Luka, and that makes a hell of a difference when LeBron is out. So absolutely, I at least see that being a positive thing for the Lakers, heading to a season that it's there's a lot of unknowns with a 23rd season, really. Nobody's done it.
Yeah, nobody's done it. It just will be interesting to see like how long this ramp up will last. Is it going to spill into the regular season? That's what I'll be we going for. I don't think he needs to play a second of the preseason. I mean, like really, like I don't think it's going to do a whole lot. Although they may want him to get a little bit of blow, but or a little bit of run. Sorry, but. Yeah, we'll see. I don't anticipate him playing tomorrow, or Luka, right, or any of these guys. I think they're playing in Palm Desert, right, against the Suns.
Yeah, I think they'll get some, couple minutes here and there, but they're not going to try to play him heavy minutes. With LeBron, I think he maybe gets one, maybe 2 games, probably on a 4th or 5th game if he feels he's better. He's also nursing a nerve issue.
Oh, yeah.
That we're going to get into at the end of the show. So that's something that, could be a problem. It could be something that they're just saying right now. But I don't think they would make up something like that to allow him to get that ramp up period. So we'll get into that a little bit later on. But I wanted to get into JJ Redick. And I heard some interesting things out of practice today, and we knew coming out of the season and his exit interview, he wanted the Lakers to be in what, Eric? Championship
shape.
Right? And so today's practice, David McMenamin kind of reported that at the end of the practice, he had the whole team doing sprints. He had 6 lengths in 34 seconds. Fought about 10 lengths in a minute, ending with a final length in 34 seconds. And he said, I don't think they like me much right now. So what do you think about JJ Redick? And is he essentially the new Pat Riley?
I was going to say, it reminds me of a mini Pat Riley. Hopefully he doesn't run him to the ground, which I know he wouldn't do that. Obviously, they wouldn't be doing this if it's like a playoff game the next night, like Riley used to do. There's always comments of what happened in the finals against the Bulls where kind of ran him to the ground and they all got, or against the Pistons actually, and the Bulls, where they, a couple of guys got injured. But anywho, yeah, it's, I don't know. Like, I'm sure the Lakers players may not be happy, but it is a little breath of fresh air because it's like, man, no, these guys, hopefully they came into camp in shape. But if not, they're going to leave camp in shape. And I think that's kind of what Coach Redick is really trying to do. He made that statement in his presser after the season ended. And so he's got to talk, walk the walk And so that's what he seems to be doing. And hopefully it pans out later in the year when it's playoff style basketball and when you cannot take possessions off.
Yeah, 100%. And I love it, to be honest with you. I think these players, they don't do what they normally used to do, right? I mean, they used to have 2-a-days, like they used to have practice all the time. So in a way, getting them in the shape they can get them in early on is going to do the Lakers wonders as the season goes on, right? Because there's always those lulls during the season, and I feel like a lot of that is they don't do much practice anymore, right? They're just playing games and then have a practice here and there. So I think getting as much as you can out of the training camp is super important for the rest of your season. And then obviously, like you said, into the playoffs where it's going to be a grind. You have to be in championship shape.
Yeah, and it kind of tells me that I think they're going to be focusing on the defensive end this year, and that's what that tells me too. Maybe a guy like Marcus Smart, maybe he's kind of getting to everyone right now because he's a bulldog, he's a warrior, he's gonna just kind of give you a pest, and so we know that the ebbs and flows of a season, your offense, it does take nights off. You have bad nights. But if you could defend at a high level, that's going to be key because you can win games solely just on defense. In the dog days of, long road trips and games in December, January. So that's one thing that I was thinking about is like, okay, we're gearing up for some defense, I think too. And let's hope that's something that we see kind of early on in the season.
Absolutely. And I also like what Luka says. He said it's not about just physically the championship shape, it's about a mental shape too as well. So these are getting these players to be mentally strong, so when they get to a point in the playoffs where they feel like they're hitting the wall, they turn into another year and able to kind of advance in the rounds there because they're in that top tip shape, and also mentally they are prepared for it. So I love it. I think it's great. And I think it's only going to be stronger for the season.
Yeah. I mean, they saw what happened against Minnesota last year. Just they were the more team with more endurance, younger. Bunch of those games were super close towards the end, and Lakers just didn't have it. I mean, as you recall, remember that one game that the same lineup played the whole second half. I think it was game 4, and so. If they're ever in that situation again, I think JJ is like, no, man, they're not going to be exhausted as they were, last time around. And I think it probably affected him in game 5 because game 5 was just ugly. And so, let's see what happens.
Yeah. So Lakers get off to their preseason tomorrow. We'll see how many people actually do play.
Yep.
However, we know that one guy is not going to play, and that's LeBron James, who's in a ramp-up period to start training camp. So he hasn't actually been practicing at all. And it came out a couple of days ago that he's having nerve irritation in his glute. So essentially, to break this down, you have one of our main nerves, which is sciatic nerve, which kind of runs in your glutes, kind of what we call the piriformis muscle. Sometimes that could be aggravated and that could be causing the pain, or you can be getting the nerve irritation from above, right? So it's either coming from your spine, spinal roots, anything like that. Now, what would be more of a concern if it's coming from the spine? That's something we don't know. It's just something that we just heard that he's having this irritation. I would probably chalk this up as they're trying to be overly cautious with LeBron and just maybe using that as more of the ramp up period. So he's not out there just trying to practice as hard as he can. Because, if you get LeBron in the court, how hard he's going to play. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think anytime you hear any kind of nerve injury, that just doesn't sound good. And so hopefully it's like very precautionary, and hopefully it's something that just with a little bit of healing and time, he'll kind of get away from that. Because again, that's like one of the things that kind of happens in as you get older. It's just these the random kind of injuries and just not feeling good and things like that. So hopefully, I assume it's legitimate, right? I'm pretty sure it's something that he is feeling, but hopefully it's just very, very early on, and they're just kind of tackling it before it gets worse.
Yeah, and like until we hear where it's coming from, like if it's coming from his back, I would be more concerned. It just might be something that, when he was playing and started getting a little bit aggravated in his glute, and then kind of realizes more of a nerve issue there. As long as he's not having any weakness in that leg or anything coming from the back, those are the two major red flags. If we start to hear anything about it, or if he ramps up over this next 3 weeks and he's not ready for game 1, that would be major concern, because I'd be like, that given a couple weeks, it's probably something that's been going on for a little bit, and that might be stemming from something above like the spine. So until we kind of find out some of those details, I don't think we can really pinpoint when he'll be back, but we know when he returns to practice, that's a good sign.
Yeah. When you start missing regular season games, that's when it'll be more of a concern. So hopefully, as I said, hopefully it's like nothing to do with his back or anything like that, because that's definitely playing with fire there. And so hopefully like we've been saying, he just kind of ramps up and we get the healthiest version of LeBron as much as possible.
Yeah, and two other injuries kind of on the Lakers right now. Maxi Clear had like a little quad injury. They said he's day to day. I didn't see any. He did get an MRI, but they didn't show if it was a strain or anything. Just kind of said it was day to day. So he's had like a little tight quad or a little pull in the quad, but nothing too concerning. However, he has not been able to stay healthy lately, and it would be nice to at least have him as an option on this team, along with Jackson Hayes at that center position. So hopefully it's nothing major. Another one I did see was kind of went under the radar, and Marcus Smart. He's been having an Achilles tendinopathy. Essentially, that just means he's having some pain in his Achilles, which is never a positive thing. It's something maybe he's had in the past, because when you see tendinopathy, that just means that he's had a tendonitis before, and it means that he has more degenerative issue with it. So that's where the opathy comes from versus just the itis, which means inflammation. So that's something to kind of look down the road. Hopefully it does not bother him, and he's able to kind of get into shape and feel good about it and get into the preseason and start playing a little bit. So I didn't hear if it was a major issue, but when I did see the Achilles tendinopathy, that did kind of put a light bulb in my head there.
Yeah, I mean, thinking about it, those are the Lakers' 3 veterans, and so the 3 guys that have been around the block a little bit here now. It's the ones that are kind of banged up, coming into training camp, and so hopefully, again, it's just a very precautionary measure. No need to kill these guys in training camp and first part of the season, because we're going to need him later on. Maxi Kleber, I'm not too sure what we're going to get out of him. He's just really been injury prone a lot of his career, especially as of late. And so, it feels like if it's not one thing, it's another with him. But it'd be nice to have him decently healthy just to see kind of what he's got. He was obviously just a throw in the Luka trade. But when he was on Dallas, he can hit an open 3, and he was pretty sound defensively. And when you got that in your arsenal, you're always going to find a way to kind of make it on the floor if you could defend and hit the 3 ball. So hopefully we just at least get a little bit out of him, kind of at least until the trade deadline, where, I can see him maybe part of a deal if something does happen.
Yeah, have a big guy that can shoot. Speaking of a big guy that can supposedly shoot now and has a new form. Your boy, Jared Vanderbilt, has unleashed a new form from the corner 3 that he's been practicing on. So let's see if this can actually be something that he can move forward with on the season, because we've always said for years that if he can shoot the corner three and he can actually make a shot, he can stay on the floor. Because right now, JJ does not trust him on the offensive side. So he needs to be a threat, and so they're not playing 4-on-5 when he's in the game. What's your thoughts on that, Eric?
I think we've been saying it the last like 2 or 3 years in the summer. We don't want to see anywhere. I don't want to see Vando anywhere in the world other than sitting at that corner three, putting up shots. And I think now we've added like, man, like, can you freaking dunk a ball or like be like kind of aggressive around the rim? Like, because he was just very poor at that too. He has some attributes, and he's athletic, and he's a menace on defense. But yeah, if he can somehow have a halfway respectable shot, he'll find himself some minutes, at least in the regular season.
Yeah, for sure. So hopefully those are some interesting tidbits there. The Lakers. I guess the last thing I wanted to talk about and kind of end on is, what do you think their starting lineup is going to be, and does it matter?
Yeah, it's interesting. There hasn't really been a commitment, right, to kind of who's starting. I don't think from camp. I mean, I have to think the only wild card to me is Marcus Smart, or else. I mean, I think it's going to be Rui. I think it's going to be Austin. I think it's going to definitely be Ayton, and then obviously LeBron and Luka. So, I mean, those are the 5 you would think it's going to be. It's just that with Marcus Smart, like, I don't know. You got to see, is he going to really be like kind of like a bench piece, or is it better to have him to start games and kind of being right up off the top, like being a kind of being a menace on the defensive side? And I say that because realistically, with the guys they have there, year 23, year LeBron, Luka, Austin, you are lacking a little bit on the defensive end, right? And so that's like one factor. But I mean, what do you think? If they do go the Marcus Smart route, you think it would be most likely for Rui, right? I mean, that's the only kind of option. Yeah. It's either Rui or Marcus Smart. I think that's the only question.
I think the guarantee is obviously are Luka, LeBron, Austin, Ayton. So that's right. My thing is just like you said, LeBron as a defender in his 23rd year. Obviously, he has been a good defender in his career. It's just
absolutely
you can ask so much from him, right? Austin Reeves. There's times where he felt like he was a decent defender, but over the last 2 years, it really hasn't matriculated into a solid part of his game. I hopefully he worked on it in offseason to become a better defender, but currently is not the greatest defender. And then Luka, who's gotten into better shape, which should help him slide better, move those puppies better on defensive end. And then Ayton, a big guy, can also block some shots, but not known as the best defender or anything like that. So I think starting off games with Marcus Smart might be a better solution, because you got all these guards in the West. I mean, you're going to go into SGA, right? You're going to have all these guys that at least have a superstar, and to have him on somebody to start the game might bring just a little bit more a defensive-minded or mindset to start the game. And then even if it's for a couple minutes and then bring in Rui as your 6-man really fast, I think it could actually be a positive for them. So I want to see what it looks like with that lineup, because in a way I feel like if we can have him just that dog on defense, and that's what he needs to do in the beginning of the game, beginning of third quarters and things like that, because how our third quarters have gone for the last couple seasons. If he can be that beginning kind of force, I think that might help him in the long run.
Yeah, I think it's important and obviously there's going to be different lineups throughout the season, but it's important to set the tone in the first and third quarters, as you said. And so if you do that by having a defensive kind of minded player out there versus Rui, who I think could flourish as well, like coming off the bench and being that 6th man, along with a couple other guys, might end up being the way they go, or at least if the Lakers don't make any trades and they're with this team that they currently have, maybe we see that kind of come playoff time. But may as well give it a shot early on just to really see what the best lineup to have out there is.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So Eric, you got any last parting words here before we get off?
Other than preseason for Lakers starts tomorrow, crazy. We got about 2.5 weeks until the regular season starts. Good time to follow sports. Obviously, into the thick of thing in baseball, you got football, a quarter of the season in, and so for like I said, for the hockey folks, you got hockey coming. So it is a good time to follow sports. But yep. Ring mission hopefully ring number 18. Hopefully that mission starts tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely. Their slogan for the year is obsession. And then you got the 18 in there. Did you see that? For the I and O, I believe. Okay. 18. So obsession for that. So pretty cool little slogan. Let's see if they kind of meet those expectations of being obsessed this season and getting a championship.
See what happens.
All right. Go Dodgers, by the way. I see that Dodger shirt. Got to represent LA all the time.
Yep. See what happens against Philly.
All right, you guys. So for the Hoops Rehab team, we are out tonight. It's been a great show, and we will see you all soon. Peace out, guys.
Peace out.